Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Health Hustle Chronicles, where the grind meets growth in the world of healthcare. As you know, this ain't your typical podcast because I bring you some of the freshest, some of the livest guests from around the world. Craig. And today we have a very special guest who goes by the name of Dr. Sunita Kotecha. She's a former physician from the United Kingdom who relocated to the U.S. 25 years ago and continued to pursue her dreams in medicine. She hung up her stethoscopes a few years after being in the U.S. to pursue clinical operations and management. Guess what? Burnout and exhaustion from healthcare led her to step away and reevaluate her career goals. Her career now has evolved and blossomed on LinkedIn as a healthcare personal branding and content creator specialist for those in the healthcare space who wish to grow their businesses and create strong personal brands. Please put your hands together and welcome Dr. Sunita Kotecha to the stage. Welcome, Doc. How are you doing?
Thank you. Good. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm even more blessed that you and we get this opportunity to connect, dive into your background and your story. I'm already excited. We're talking about you already rose through the ranks as a physician.
I did.
And you stepped away. And then you decided, you know what? Let's change up the game. Let me be a personal brand strategist.
Yes. That was quite a pivot and quite a change that I've gone through over the decades, I should say. I think, over the decades.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. So there's so much to go off of your bio, but let's get into it. Before we get so deep into your background, please introduce yourself to the rest of the world so we can vibe with you and understand a little bit more about you. So who are you personally?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So Patrick was saying that, I am originally from the UK. You can probably hear still some of my British accent, despite being in the US for 25 years now. Yeah. So pretty much my background is just, I was in medicine for many, many years, and through an arranged marriage came to the United States, which kind of tweaks a lot of interest when I say that.
Right.
So from doing that and working in the healthcare space, and I continued in medicine, but then with my ex-husband, who's a neurosurgeon, he and I both collectively made a decision that no, I'll step away so that we can build an empire together, build a business together. And so that's kind of how I navigated out of medicine and into more operations and management, which I had no experience of 25 years ago. But hey, I learned, along the way. So then, and I think, just after having built multi-million-dollar thriving practices that I did in, the neurosurgical field, went through a divorce and then had to kind of reevaluate what I was going to do with my life. So I was at that pivotal moment, when you hit your mid-40s, and I'm like, am I going to go back into medicine and kind of reestablish my medical license? No, I didn't feel like doing that. Oh. So I kind of just took the knowledge that I had and kept going in operations. And so I've been doing that post-divorce for about 4 or 5 years. And then I'm like, okay, I'm bored of this now. I just cannot keep doing this. And especially after I turned 50. 50 seems to be a really big moment for a lot of people where they kind of reevaluate, what am I really doing? Right. Do I really want now out of my life? And so I just kind of navigated my way onto LinkedIn. I'm like, all these professional people are on here and they're doing all these amazing things. Well, why can't I do that? So that's how my LinkedIn journey started.
Wow, it's so interesting already. There's so much to go. Just your intros. We're talking about arranged marriages. You talking about
I know. I've been through all kinds of things.
Right, a former physician building a multi-million-dollar practice, and now you turn this entrepreneur who's helping people with their personal brand. Yeah. So you did a really good job of going from that personal life into your professional life. I kind of want to back up and just get a little bit more meat on the bone. So let's start. What type of physician were you? Or are you, should we say? Because it's not like it goes away.
I stepped away from actually seeing patients, but I was in podiatry. And so I working in the National Health Service many years ago in North London, Northwest London, East London as well. And just did the whole 9 yards of being a podiatrist,
All right. And so for clarification, I don't want to assume, but I want to ask you, are you from Indian descent?
I am of Indian descent, yes. Okay. Born and raised in London, but yes, of Indian descent.
You mentioned the arranged marriages, and I know culturally there's a few cultures that really dive into that. So
yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yep, absolutely.
This is eye-opening and awakening already. This is gonna be so freaking good. This is gonna be
Yeah, so
good.
I mean, I had a thriving career. I was going to, at some point, step into private practice in London.
Right,
And my parents were kind of like, no, you need to get married. And so then the whole arranged part
right,
kind of stepped in. And so I was matched. And
right,
so, and with that match that I did have, I had to move country.
right. Okay. That wasn't your decision. It was up to your
You know
husband
what?
at that point.
They would actually show me prospective individuals
Okay.
that would meet their specifications, I'm going
Okay.
to say. But then I had the right to say yes or no, or
Oh,
I didn't have much interaction, not too much interaction with these individuals that I was kind of being matched with, but there was conversation, not so much meeting of them. You kind of, I mean, it was about 25 years ago, so I mean, you kind of do feel a little bit pressured to kind of make a
right.
decision based on just some superficial information, not like today, right? Like I would do with my own children. It would be like, no, don't do that. You need
Right.
to get to know them. You need to maybe, really to spend time to get to know them.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't quite have that kind of option.
So it feels like more the pressure is you're trying to fit the needs of both your family and the family of the
Yes.
individual that you're
Yeah.
looking to get married to.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Absolutely.
That's so interesting. And I know this podcast is not about arranged marriages, but I'm glad you opened it up with that just to provide some insight, because I know there's a lot of people that have questions whether or not that even still exists today. Is that still a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Back home, I mean, I say back home, not in India, but
Right.
well, actually, even in India and even in the UK, I mean, parents who, know each other, and if they see, well, you've got a son, you've got a daughter,
Right.
this is the kind of educational background he has, and this is the educational background she has, and this is his height, this is her height,
Right.
and kind of like, this is what he, this is their food specifications,
Yeah.
and this is her food specifics, and they kind of match it on paper, so to
Mhm.
speak, and then they introduce you in the hope
Interesting.
that I mean, yeah, it's still kind of loosely there.
Okay. Okay. I mean, but at the end of the day, culturally, your family was looking out for you, right? Trying to make sure to match you with the right economical background,
That's
so they
it.
can,
That's
yeah,
exactly what it was.
put you in
That's
position
exactly
you
what
would
it was.
continue to thrive, right? Okay.
Yeah.
It's We can have a whole nother topic on that, and sometimes we probably will come back to that because I know there's tons of people who are interested in knowing more. That's intrigued. I remember watching that Netflix special about it, right? The Indian arranged marriages.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
fascinated.
Yes.
What?
Yes. I mean,
This
that's
is
modern day version now, right?
okay.
But I mean, in my parents, my parents' time, my mom and dad didn't even meet each other. They
Oh wow.
met on their wedding day.
Oh
We
wow.
were like, okay, they still made it work 50 years later, 55 years later. So, I mean, that was part of our norm.
Right. Okay. So today you're still a podiatrist. You're just not actively practicing today.
Correct.
And your main focus is on personal branding. And you basically got your start on LinkedIn. Is that what I'm hearing?
Through the evolution of what I described, yes. I mean,
Right.
right now I'm focusing more on LinkedIn. That's
Okay.
pretty where I get my clients from right now.
Now,
Yep.
a little birdie told me that you may or may not be a social media star. That's what I heard. I heard you have posts that go viral across LinkedIn. Can you shed some light on that?
I had one. I was not anticipating, like, here I am, this 50-plus-year-old. I'm just putting content out there. And I did. I had one LinkedIn post that went viral. I think I checked it last week. It ended up with around 197,000 impressions on it, just shy of 200,000.
Wow. So
But I think
okay.
it was the timing. It was more the timing of it, where it wasn't even me teaching anyone about personal branding or anything like that. It was more just coming from a personal space where the elections were about to be happening. There was a lot of uncertainty globally and in the US as well. And, the job market was the way it was and probably still is, And so I just put a post out there about one of my tenants. My tenant couldn't pay me for a couple of months of rent. And typically a landlord would just tell them, you know what, get out,
Yeah.
leave. I need
Yeah.
another, and because
I need my monies.
I need my money. And so
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I just did not have the heart. Not that I knew her personally, but she's a mother. She's a single mom like me. And, she was honest with me, and I let her stay there for a couple of months. I'm like, you know what? Because she said that I am looking, I'm going to get a job. I will find something. I promise I will continue to pay. And you know what? I just didn't have the heart to do it to her. I didn't want to throw her out. I just couldn't do it. It was just before around election time, and so I just described how people do sometimes go against the grain of what you would normally expect, right? I mean, a typical landlord will just say, "Get out! You've got a week. Get your stuff out. Get out of here.
Get out of here! Give me my money.
Get out of here! I don't want you here." But you know what? I leaned into God. I leaned into my spiritual connection. I'm like, I can't do it. But so, she's fine now. She's back on track again, paying her rent now, and everything's good. But that went viral.
So she's still a renter for you. She still rents from you. Okay, so the story had a successful ending.
She ended up finding a job again, and so she's working and she's paying her rent now. And it's more just her heartfelt thank you to me for not evicting her at that moment when she really was in a tough spot. So I carry. I mean, it's got the home has a mortgage on it, and so I just continued the payment for a couple of months while she couldn't. Ultimately, it's my property, right? And so,
right. You can do what you want to do with it.
Yeah. So the upheaval of making her go and leave and packing her stuff and going through the home and and then finding somebody else and having them move, I'm like, I'm going to give this I'm going to give it just to see if it plays out the way it needs to, and it did.
It worked out.
So sometimes I think creating posts that go against the grain of what you expect people to do, that one went viral.
Kudos to you, Doc. Kudos to you. Look at that. So you're leading with empathy. And in return, you had someone who was able to rebound, and they're still a tenant today. Yes. All thanks to your empathy. Man, come on now.
Sometimes you have to. Sometimes, it's each individual person that you know and how you connect with them. And I continued communication with her throughout it. And she would tell me, I'm interviewing, I'm doing this, I promise, I'll get there. I promise I'll get there. Just give me some time. So
you didn't change the whole life. Oh, this is already good. And we're like 5 minutes into this.
I didn't want to throw her out. I didn't want to throw her out for that.
Oh. So I'm interested in knowing. So we already know you're an empathetic leader, because I can hear that. If you do that personally, I can only imagine what you're doing professionally in your practice and how you care for other people. But before we dig into that, I would love to really dig into your background, that hustler journey. A lot of people come to this podcast looking for inspiration. They're looking to connect with individuals who look like themselves, right? And I have an audience and a population that looks like you as well, that's going to be listening and watching this. And they're going to be inspired by, your insight and your journey. So I would love for you to share, just kind of from the beginning to where we are now, how you got to where you are.
You mean on LinkedIn and why I'm actually kind of got to that point? Okay, so I'll start from the point of, I still love clinical operations. The management side of it. In fact, even last July, I stepped away from operations, and it almost broke my heart to do that, because my staff from there, it's been 7 or 8 months, they still email me. They still text me.
Right.
They're still in touch with me. The doctors are still kind of communicate with me, which is kind of, it's heartfelt to know that, they respected me that much. But I think for me, especially after I hit 50, I came to a point of understanding that it's either now or never. Do I still want to keep doing the same thing that I'm doing until I retire? And and it is stressful. It's stressful being in medicine, in any form of medicine. It doesn't matter where you are, hospital, private practice, or whatever setting you're in, ambulatory center. So I was seeing others on LinkedIn who are professionals like myself, but from different backgrounds. I don't know too many from the healthcare space who are doing personal branding myself, but I'm like, there are others doing this. There are others who are creating something, a brand for themselves, And so why can't I do that? If others are doing it. And I never really had any direction per se. When I started on LinkedIn, I didn't really have a purpose. In fact, when I left working last July, my initial posts were very much about, okay, I'm here and I'm not really sure what I'm doing here now.
Right.
I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but I'm just here, just kind of connecting and just kind of like reaching out into the universe just to see what kind of comes to me. And so that's how my journey on LinkedIn started. Clueless. It started clueless, to be honest with you.
And now you're impacting and helping so many other people in the
I am,
space.
but then, I had to do a lot of, editing of my content,
Sure.
my posts. I spent a lot of time on the LinkedIn space, reading, assessing, looking at different posts, seeing what they're doing. I did connect with some LinkedIn, some coaches as well that helped me kind of grow, understand, and learn over the last, since I left my corporate job, to really understand how to actually positively grow a personal brand. So it's been a journey. It's definitely been a journey of a lot of learning since I stepped away from corporate. And so that's pretty much how I've kind of just grown on the LinkedIn space now. And so now I do have followers. I do have people commenting on that. And a lot of people in the healthcare space who do kind of reach out to me with wanting their LinkedIn page kind of optimized or kind of needing help with their content, which is, one of my more recent clients who are just needing actual help with their actual LinkedIn content. But they approach me with that because they know I have the medical background and the knowledge because they're a medical business themselves. And so I can create the content or posts or whatever based on my medical background and my medical knowledge to kind of create meaningful content for them.
That's really a dope skill to have, because as you see what's happening, just across the world, people are making a lot of pivots, much like yourselves. And people are realizing that, life could be long. And so just because I navigated in this path doesn't mean I have to stay in that lane. I can do something different. And so connecting with you to help them with that pivot in life and that personal journey.
Pivot. And it's looking at the bigger picture. Well, where, when you're in corporate space, and depending on what kind of role you have, medical billing and coding and that kind of stuff, that can be done from home or, but for me, I think the biggest thing after I hit 50 was I need flexibility. I want to be able to go home. I want to be able to go back to London and see my elderly parents now. And if I'm in a corporate space, I have limited time and I'm accumulating your hours so I can go home and see my mom and dad as they're getting older now. And so I think with age, you do look for flexibility in your time where you can still work, but then still be able to move around. Or even in my case, with kids in college, I'm still in touch. I still need to go and see them, drop things off at them. And, I need to have some little bit more flexibility than what a corporate 9-to-5 could give me.
Interesting. Okay, so we're going to dig more into that. But I have to know, what inspired you to become a podiatrist? Out of all the physicians, you could have been any physician. But why podiatrist?
So that was kind of a weird one. So it's a bit of a sad story, actually. When I did, once I was done with my schooling, I actually did get accepted to, I'm trying to think, ophthalmology.
Okay.
But that was actually outside London. And there was also an orthopedic residency type thing that I got accepted to. And that was also outside London. Now, my father being the conservative Indian dude that he is, he said to me that, no, you're an Indian girl. You cannot go out and live outside the house. That'll bring shame. That'll bring, dishonor to us. And, it was more just, he went into hyper protective mode that, no, I cannot have my daughter living outside home that far away from me. God knows what's going to happen to her, or God knows what kind of interactions she's going to get involved with, or what kind of guy she's going to get involved with, and they'll bring shame and dishonor to me. So at the last moment, I found myself in a position where he was saying, no, if you're gonna continue down this path of medicine, you're gonna have to find something that's in London where you can commute. So that kind of limited me. And so then at the last minute, I'm kind of scrambling, thinking, what the hell am I going to do? I don't want to waste another year. And so then I found a residency program in podiatry, and it was commutable. I
Okay.
could go back and forth from home where I didn't have to leave the house
Right.
and be able to continue. So I was still in medicine, not quite the medicine I'd chosen for myself, but so then I had to make a pivot at that point to kind of like meet the needs of what my parents wanted at the time.
So what did your parents tell you that they wanted you to be a physician, and then through the course of, trying to navigate and looking at what was close, you landed on podiatry, or being a
Yes.
physician was your choice to begin
So
with?
the physician, that was my choice, but then
Okay.
to go into podiatry was more out of circumstance because they
Got it.
didn't want me to move, and I was open to moving. I wanted to move. I wanted to go and pursue another field. But I mean, things work out the way they do based on
Sure.
that was destined for me.
Right.
It's
Now,
destined for me.
growing up in your household, were you a single child, or you had siblings?
I had a younger brother who's a CPA.
Okay, all right. So he didn't follow that medical route. He learned from you. He was like, hey, I'm gonna do something different.
Yes.
All right, interesting. Okay, all right. I'm interested in knowing then. Okay, if you hadn't been the podiatrist, it sounds like you would have been an ophthalmologist. Was that your first choice, or did you have another choice?
Maybe orthopedics even.
Orthopedics.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe
All right.
orthopedics even.
So, we'd love to know, like, what exactly are you doing today here in 2025?
Say that again.
What exactly are you doing today here in 2025?
What am I doing today?
Yeah, your main focus today.
In terms of my career, yes, my ideals and my goals are just to keep growing in the LinkedIn space. I guess just continuing to reach out to those in the healthcare space who are also looking to navigate and kind of grow something, because I definitely have nurses reaching out to me, lots and lots of revenue cycle management type companies, so many actually that reach out to me. Those are in all kinds of physicians reaching out to me. I have all kinds of strange and weird and wonderful people in the healthcare space. So I think just kind of continuing to grow that, and just, I'm still working on my other endeavors, which are more real estate related. I'm a property manager. I'm involved in property development as well in the Houston area as well. And so kind of like navigating my journey and, my kind of financial growth in that way, but always understanding that I need to, if I can, maintain some degree of flexibility at this point in life. That's my goal for 2025.
You said that word a few different times, flexibility, and then you also mentioned your age several different times. And what I'm picking up on is that, the pivot was inspired by your want and need to be more flexible in your life, so you can focus on the things that make you happy at this point. Am I right?
Yes, especially because, there are people that I know who are like 60 and beyond who kind of are getting to that retirement age, So then for me, I mean, I definitely know physicians who are going to be hitting retirement age who then think, well, now what? What am I going to do next? Is there going to be enough income? Do I have enough in my 401k? Do I have enough set aside? Do I have, other investments that are going to kind of support my needs? And, at that point, people, and I've definitely encountered people who want to have something that does give them flexibility. So just because, like you said, just because, they're in medicine or they have a set career path based on their educational background, that doesn't mean that beyond their 50s and 60s that they're going to really want to continue doing the same thing, And so I put myself in a position now where I have time. So I'm working on growing that right now so that when I do hit the, the mid to upper 50s, that I can be, what, I have something set up the way I want it, and that it's giving me the flexibility to travel, see the world, do other things, be able to kind of like, have more open time in my day and not just 40 hours in an office. Do you know what I mean? And so, especially when you hit that 50, 60 age range, especially with my friends, a lot of them are looking for flexibility now with their life.
I love that word.
To be able to enjoy and travel and, grow other skills that they may want to develop before time is too late for them, and, develop a better connection and communication with God and spirituality, and spending time with church, and, doing the other things that are meaningful and valuable to them. We only have today. And that's something that I've definitely learned through my meditation practice, which I'm doing twice a day. In fact, I even did even before I hopped on this call.
Okay.
That we really only have today. We really only have today. And the past is gone, and we learn the lessons that we need to from that. The future is an unknown. And so it's about today and kind of fulfilling our need today and being the best version of who we can today for the people around us, and I definitely lean into that a lot now.
That's powerful. That really, really is powerful. I mean, and guys, if you're just now joining us on the show, welcome to Health Hustle Chronicles, where the grind meets growth in the world of healthcare. As you know, this ain't your typical podcast because I bring you the freshest and the livest guests from around the world. And today we partnered up with Dr. Sunita Kotecha. Did I say it right, Doc? Kotecha? All right. She's a former physician from the UK, relocated to the US 25 years ago. She's continued to pursue her dreams in medicine. She hung up her stethoscope a few years ago and began pursuing her clinical operations and management, here in the US. But burnout and exhaustion from healthcare led her to step away and reevaluate her career goals. Her career has now evolved and blossomed on LinkedIn as a healthcare personal branding and content creator, specialist for those in healthcare space who wish to grow their businesses and create a strong personal brand. So back into it, Doc. From a personal brand strategist standpoint, do you only focus on helping people who are making a pivot within healthcare, or do you have other segments of, people in life that you help with their personal brand as well?
Actually, I'm doing both. And so one of my more recent clients, even on my LinkedIn page, you can see it's not, I just seem to gravitate and have people in the healthcare space who come to me. But personal branding is personal branding, no matter what background you're from, right? And so one of my recent clients, I'm actually managing the business side of it, where their actual medical business, but they also want to develop their personal brand. And so that's kind of slightly different, where, I'm kind of like reaching out to them, and it would be the same for anyone. Hey, share me pictures, get into a conversation with me. I need to get to know you, because if I'm going to write content for you, the individual, I need to know you as a person, talk to. And so I have these questions that I ask them, and, like you and I are doing, getting into a real deep conversations about what makes them think, what do they enjoy, what's important to them. And so these are all things that can be intertwined into anyone's personal brand,
Right.
And so it doesn't have to be somebody in the healthcare space. I just seem to attract that, I guess, with my medical background.
Your background, yeah.
Sometimes
so
you
as a
just
personal
have to
brand,
put the net out there and just, maybe in time I might niche it down and say, okay, only healthcare. But right now I'm not doing that. Right now I haven't quite done it.
So as a personal brand strategist, if I reached out to you and wanted to connect and gain some insight and help me grow my personal brand, how long are we going to be connected? Like, how long do I have to work with you before I start to realize that, my brand is actually growing?
Depends what kind of goal you're looking for. Okay. If you're looking to kind of it depends what kind of goal you're looking for. Some of my clients who come to me who just need their page revamped because it doesn't feel right to them. And so that I help them with that. Some of them come to me looking to say, I actually want to really start something on here. And I'm looking to kind of like get my first client maybe. So that may take a little bit longer, right? Depending on the energy you put in, how much work you're willing to put into that. And that can take maybe a few months. Maybe I would say at least three or 4 months to really start thinking about getting your first clients based on what they want to offer, based on what they want to put out to, into the LinkedIn space. You know what I mean? So just depends what you're looking for. With the ghostwriting that I do, that's an ongoing thing that I do for.
Oh, you're a ghostwriter too?
For health in the healthcare space, I am. Yes.
Whoa.
That's something new that I'm doing now.
Listen, okay, you got a whole commercial complex that you got in Houston. You're a podiatrist. You're still a podiatrist because that never changes. You built a multi-million-dollar business with your ex-husband.
I did.
And then you're this social media influencer star that has 200,000 viral views on a post, and you're a personal brand strategist. And a ghostwriter? Come on, Doc.
I started doing that because you know what? They're reaching out. These clients are reaching out to me saying, hey, can you can you first start with my LinkedIn page? Because I need help with that. Sure, I can do that.
Right.
Actually, you know what? I like your content. Can you do the content, some of my content for me, for my personal brand? I'm like, yeah, I can help you with that. So I do that. So then they approach me now and said, well, I need help with my business page now.
Right.
So can you help me with the content on that? Okay. Let's kind of like delve and see whether you want that. So again, they're using my medical knowledge that I do know to kind of help them with the content as
Sure.
well.
Sure.
Yeah.
You could have pivoted into anything, because we already know, just listening to your bio and listening to you're fully educated Indian woman, right? So nothing has stopped you from accomplishing anything that you wanted to accomplish, to include, running successful businesses. And we're talking about brand strategy and stuff like that. Why brand strategy? I mean, because you could have done anything.
I just enjoy it.
Okay.
Because I think I did it for myself. And at the time when I did leave corporate, I never thought it was actually possible,
Okay.
and so even I kind of like surprised myself that, that I was able to kind of grow something where I do have clients now. It's taken time. It's taken a lot of kind of like 4 steps, 2 steps forward and 4 steps back kind of thing. But, I'm always constantly pushing myself. And I think it's just, the way I feel, where if I can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah. I love that.
Heck, if I can do it, and I'm not even that hugely tech savvy, then you can definitely do it. I don't see why you can't do it. And I know so many in the healthcare industry that reach out to me from not just from LinkedIn, but just in my own personal life, who will say,
Right.
I don't want to be here. I don't want to go into work. I'm tired. I'm stressed. They start having health issues, which is a big thing, They
Yeah.
start having anxiety. They have depression. And I was just surrounded by that. And so it was almost like a personal challenge to say, okay, you know what? I'm actually going to step away. And so these people who I still connected with through my work, through my actual corporate jobs, they still are watching me and kind of starting to navigate and say, well, you know what? She did it. So then maybe we can do the same thing and create a better future, a better outlook for our career.
I love this. Okay, this is good stuff. This is really, really good stuff. So it sounds like to me, I don't know how you are able to accomplish so much within a 24-hour time period, because there's only 24 hours in a day. So I would love to know, and just help us understand, how do you go about separating your personal life from your professional life?
It's about allocating time, right? I mean, it's, like during the day, I'm, kind of like doing my daily meditations, doing what the other stuff that I need to do. And then sometimes I'm working in the evenings or at night, especially with the ghostwriting and stuff. I guess it's just about prioritizing and allocating time as you need it.
Okay. And then specifically in your industry, I mean, you spend so much time in the healthcare industry, and then you made the pivot to the personal brand strategist. I would love to know some of the misconceptions and pitfalls that either you faced or you see like your industry faces.
I think more than anything, I think it's just having a belief in yourself that you can actually grow something. Potential clients who come to me, that's one of the biggest, I would say, misconception. I would say that, they don't feel that they don't have the confidence. They've
Right.
been in corporates for so long, so
Sure.
many years. They have this educational background that they do, and they can't see past that. They just cannot see past how jumping into another job that's going to pay the same or more,
Right.
other than actually doing that, it's just very difficult for people to see how it's possible. And it's having that belief that you can grow something. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions I see with potential clients who reach out to me. Can I do it?
Right.
Will I really be able to do it?
Right.
Do I have enough knowledge? Do I have the skill set? I mean, hey, if you're in corporate and you're working for someone and they're paying you, you've got a skill that they're paying you
Yeah.
for. So there's a skill
Right.
there. So having that belief that to say that, no, I can take that skill and do something for myself and create a business or something, start something, even just on the side, which can grow into something eventually bigger. I think that would be the biggest misconception I've seen with my potential audience. Oh, sorry, my potential clients who reach out to me.
Got it. And in your opinion, what do you think? It sounds like you've said it, but I want to see if you say something different. What do you think actually holds people back from accomplishing their goals?
Fear.
Okay.
Fear, I think fear, time, you you know what? You have to want it. You have to want it.
Okay.
And you have to really feel it within you that, you know what, it's I either do this or I'm gonna, you
Right.
have to absolutely be resolute in that. And that feeling can go up and down daily. I'm like, oh
True.
God, why am I doing this? Nothing's working. But just constantly pushing yourself forward, or taking on a coach or someone, or having someone like me on your back, just to kind of like, no, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Exactly.
kind of like pushing yourself, having that drive. You have to have that drive and desire to kind of keep pushing yourself.
Does fear get in the way of your entrepreneurial journey today? And if it does, how do
Maybe,
you,
oh heck yes.
yeah, how do you go about
Yeah.
overcoming it? Like give me some tips to move past that.
Move past the fears that I have in my journey. I think for me, it's about prayer, a lot of prayer.
Sure.
And so just, I do have my own coaches that kind of like push me and lead me along. Even though I'm kind of helping others, I have my own coaches too.
Absolutely.
I have a coach too who kind of like checks in with me and keeps me motivated to keep pushing forward. And you are gonna, but you know what? I think fear and roadblocks are just part of the journey of entrepreneurship, especially when you're growing a personal brand. That's just part of it.
I'm glad you brought up coaches, because I see a lot of people get into like the healthcare space or in the management space, and they aspire to be leaders or executives,
Yeah.
and they stop reinvesting in themselves, and they feel
You
like,
have to.
because
You
I'm
have
here,
You have
I don't
to.
need a coach anymore. But you're telling me here I'm an accomplished physician. I've ran multi-million-dollar practices. I have a whole real estate that I'm doing over here, personal brand strategy, and I still have a coach. Like that.
Yes.
Wow.
You do need it. It's an investment in yourself that you have to do.
Okay.
You have to invest in yourself to be able to push yourself and do other things, because these coaches have reached that, right?
Yes.
They're doing it.
Right.
They're already doing it, and they've gone in a direction that I want to be in. And
Sure.
so it makes sense to me to lean into that and kind of like utilize the knowledge that they have so that I can grow and be like them.
Yeah. I think the thing,
one day grow up and be like them.
the thing for a lot of us is like we feel like if I have to reach out to someone else to help me with my life, then it makes me a failure. And you're saying no, that's not the case.
Oh heck no. I don't see how else you can really truly grow. I don't think I would have gotten to the point where I am if it wasn't for the coaches for me, because otherwise you're just navigating just kind of blindly without any strategy as to how you're actually going to get this.
Okay. That's really good stuff.
Tapping into the knowledge of others who are few steps ahead of you,
Right.
is a game changer.
Ooh, that's a good word, game changer. So tell me, Doctor, what's the impact that you're trying to make today?
In what way? To who?
You tell me, business, professionally, personally, impact that you're trying to make today. When it's all said and done, it's written, you're no longer here. I made this impact, and I feel good about it.
I think aside from my work, I think my personal growth within and in my own spiritual connection, and finding peace and being at peace no matter what on earth is going on around me, and actually instilling that to close friends, close family, especially my children as well, as we try and navigate our way through this very messy world that we live in right now, so that, the ups are going to come, the downs are going to come. We're going to go through wonderful phases of our life and absolute gut-wrenching tragedies in our life as well. And that's our life in a nutshell for every single human being that's kind of alive on this planet today. But how you navigate that and how you get through that and how you get stronger, how you navigate through that through spiritual connection and staying grounded and understanding the highs and especially the lows, the low points, and how you kind of grow, learn, and grow yourself as a human being and move forward with your life. My goal is to actually impart and instill that in my family, friends, people who are in close connection with me. And especially I do work on that with my children as well, because more than the money and your career, that is going to get us through the longevity of life.
Two questions wrapped into one, Doc. So someone who's interested in maybe pursuing a similar path as you, like fulfilling their goal of being a podiatrist. I would love to know, what advice would you give them? And then the second part, someone who's interested in making a pivot and maybe interested in connecting with you from a personal branding standpoint, what advice would you give them? So 2 questions in one. It's all about advice, being a physician and then personal brand strategy.
So with my own daughter, I mean, it's kind of like similar advice that I give to my own daughter who doesn't want to go into straight medicine, to do more PA studies. I think before even becoming a physician, you need to really lean into yourself and say, is this really what you want? Do some volunteering. Same thing I said to my daughter, do some volunteering in hospitals, kind of really feel how you feel about being around patients. Is that really what you want? Go and do some shadowing, understand what they do day to day. Go in and see if they'll, put your scrubs on, and go in and spend some time with other physicians and really feel, does this feel right to you? Does it feel right in your heart? Don't do it for the money, but do it because it feels right. Because the money will. If you feel it within your heart that this is right for you, you will succeed.
Oh, I didn't even know you can do that. You can do a thumbs up and
do a thumbs up on here.
And it works. It works. You did it. I don't know how you did that, but I love the technology. Doc. Look at you. Now you're a technical professional too. Wow, you do it all.
And so then to navigate your journey on LinkedIn, to navigate into the personal branding, I think, just do it. Just go on there. I mean, that's literally what I did. Just step out of your shell, step out of your comfort zone, and just put a damn post out there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. It doesn't have to be, great. It's going to be crappy in the beginning anyway. It's not going to be great in the beginning anyway. But you don't know, and you're not going to learn unless you start, unless you try. Put the post out there, try, see what happens, and start connecting with others in your industry.
All right. So Doc, question here is outside of work, right? Because we know you're still a physician. We know you're a personal brand strategist. We know you're just a serial entrepreneur. We know this much already. Outside of all of that, do you have passion projects, or are there things that you talk about that's separate from that?
So I think, obviously I think I've mentioned it recently. I won't go into it too much, but I went through a personal tragedy not too long ago. And so that has actually pushed me within, because the pain of going through so much that I did, where I got myself to a point where I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't even post. I couldn't even put posts out there on LinkedIn. I struggled so much. And so it actually pushed me within. I literally started to go within after that turning point. And so now my growth internally, my connection to God, and I found myself navigating my way to my Hindu temple, the scriptures, my religious scriptures I'm leaning into. And yeah, I talk a lot about that as well, especially with the people around me now, and just how, like I'd mentioned earlier, life is going to throw highs and lows at you, but it's what you do during those low periods. I personally didn't turn to, not to say that you shouldn't, I didn't turn to therapy. I didn't turn to alcohol. I didn't turn to negative vices. Right. I used that to go within and grow internally from that, and to kind of rise and bring myself out of that bring myself out of that misery that I was feeling, to kind of be in the space that I am today. But that was through my own internal growth. And so there's a lot of beauty within, and there's so much internal that we can learn from going within and connecting to your soul and to your third eye.
That's deep. Follow-up question. That really is. How long was that period? How long did it take you to do that self-reflection, to come back out and realize that, you know what, I don't have to be that version of myself. I can be a different version.
2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months. So that's good to know. Doc, I would love to, you know what? I know people are they're gonna watch and listen to this episode, and they're gonna walk away feeling inspired, knowing that, you know what?
I hope so.
Yeah, that they can do things similar to you or the same as you. So tell us, how do we get in touch with you?
I would say the best way would be on LinkedIn. I'm definitely on there. I mean, there's actually click the link button so that you can connect onto my Calendly, or even just reach out to me in the DMs. I'm around. I hang around in space.
And I'm going to leave a segment right here for you. Any parting words, Doc, you want to share with the rest of the world?
If it were to come to developing your personal brand, just do it. Just start with a post. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just start. You've got to start, because the start is the beginning of something very beautiful with consistency.
Love it, love it, love it. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Health Hustle Chronicles, where the grind meets growth in the world of healthcare. As you know, I bring you the freshest, the livest guests from around the world. And today we were blessed with her presence, Dr. Sunita Kotecha. She's a former physician from the UK who relocated to the US 25 years ago and continued to pursue her dreams in medicine. She hung up her stethoscope a few years after being in the US to pursue clinical operations as well as management. But burnout and exhaustion from healthcare led her to step away and reevaluate her career goals. Her career now has evolved and blossomed on LinkedIn as a healthcare personal branding and content creator specialist. For those in the healthcare space who wish to grow their businesses and create a strong personal brand, you definitely need to connect with this doc right here. It's been a fire episode, Doc. I appreciate you bringing tons of energy, tons of insight. This is amazing. I love it. I can't wait to get this out.
Thank you.